Greetings and salutations, fellow pilots. This is Akirishin, and here we are, post-update 2.0.5, and I thought I might try to go over things with you a little bit now that I've had a chance to play around with the new update and its interface, etc. And I have here, of course, the Yakovlev Yak-3 Russian fighter, Tier 7 fighter. And what we'll do first here, this aircraft is an elite aircraft. I've researched just about every aircraft in the game. So it is an elite aircraft, which just means that all of the modules have been researched. Whether they've been purchased or not doesn't matter, just that they've been researched. And what that does is it gets us in a position to be able to seek specialist status. And what specialist status does, we'll talk about in just a minute. If you look at your interface, you have this little bar graph here. And what it shows is the progress of your aircraft. And here it shows it has reached elite status, this little triangle here. And then to get to specialist status, we need to advance the aircraft to this point. And if you mouse over the bar graph, it will tell you what you need to do. Now, so what it tells me is that I need to shoot down 120 enemy aircraft, and I need to shoot down 40 air defense aircraft. And once I meet those two milestones, then the aircraft will be in specialist status. Now the implications of that, we'll look over here. We go to the service tab, which I'm at right now, and it's a very different layout than what once was. And the first thing you'll notice is that you have the various different parts of the aircraft. You have the cockpit, the airframe, the engine, and the forward firing weapons. And under each one of those are equipment that you can get for that particular item. So you can get a piece of equipment for the cockpit, you can get equipment for the airframe, for the engine, and then down here the forward firing weapon. Now on this particular aircraft, for example, if you look at the equipment for the cockpit, I don't know what your choices might be, but it gives me two choices. Either I can, one, choose cockpit armor, which increases the crew's resistance to injuries, or you can go with a sight. Now if you go with the cockpit armor, the positive is, of course, the crew resistance to injuries, but the negative is that you lose aircraft maneuverability. If you go with the sight, you have increased firing accuracy, but you have a decrease in pilot's resistance to injuries. So for each positive, there is a negative that you may need to suffer. And you've got to pick your poison, so to speak. Now on this particular aircraft, the Yak-3's greatest strength, or one of its greatest strength, is its maneuverability. So I'm not going to do anything that's going to decrease this aircraft's maneuverability. So I went with the sight, which increases firing accuracy, and while, you know, there's an increased chance of the pilot being injured, I can offset that in my consumables. The other option is you could go with neither of these pieces of equipment if you wanted to just leave it kind of stock, so to speak. And then you don't get any increase in specifications, but then again you don't get any decrease either. And then with consumables, to try to offset that increased pilot injury, I went with emergency medical kit, which is, I guess, the gold version of that. And it used to be that that activated automatically, but now post 2.0.5, you have to activate it manually, which is, it's kind of a pain. I wish they would change that back. Then under airframe, you can choose equipment, and you have two options, but you'll notice one of the options, one of the pieces of equipment that you can choose, you have to be a specialist for this aircraft. And since we're not to that point yet with this aircraft, as you can see over here in the bar graph, it's locked and we cannot access it. So you can see the benefit of becoming a specialist, and I believe that, and I'm not sure of this, I don't know if it's another piece of equipment like the improved lightweight wing frame that I chose, or if it's a piece of equipment that betters the negatives on the first piece of equipment we chose. When you go to the piece of equipment you can choose for the airframe, you have four options. A reinforced skin, which increases wings and tails resistance to damage, but you lose aircraft speed. Then you have reinforced airframe, which increases the aircraft's hit points, but you lose maneuverability. Then you go to lightweight wing frame, which is what I chose. That increases the aircraft's maneuverability, but you lose hit points. Then you have polished skin, which increases the aircraft speed, but again you lose maneuverability. So with each one of these there's a positive and there's a negative, and I'm guessing that the specialist equipment that you can choose kind of helps with the negative. But hey, I don't have a specialist plane yet, so I can't really say for sure. But I went with, again, I didn't want to do anything to decrease this aircraft's maneuverability, so I went with lightweight wing frame. You might want to choose something like reinforced airframe to increase the aircraft's hit points, or maybe polished skin, and you'll lose some maneuverability, but hey, it's already very high maneuverability. If you look over here at the overview tab, you see it's very high maneuverability in horizontal turns. So, you know, you do have some maneuverability you could stand to lose with this aircraft. I just don't want to do it. For me, the safety of this plane is its maneuverability. While I lose hit points by having such high maneuverability, it increases the likelihood I'm not going to get hit. That's the theory anyway. And then with engine, you see that it doesn't have a piece of equipment that you can currently slot in there, and you have to be a specialist. So again, you know, another benefit of being a specialist. Same thing with consumables, which interestingly enough, they have added the ammunition as a consumable for the forward-firing weapons, which is fine, you know, no problem there, but an interesting place to put it. And you have specialist tabs you can choose there to get more consumables. I went with a secondary control system, which restores controllability to wings and tails. It's basically some of the old consumables, just kind of in a different format. With pilot skills on this aircraft, I went with Engine Guru 1, which increases engine thrust by 3%. I went with Aerodynamics Expert, which the equipment we have that increases aircraft maneuverability or speed can increase by 40% the effects of those improvements. Before, the increased effects of Aerodynamics Expert were queued into specific upgrades that we chose. Here it's more effect focused, if you understand that, what I mean by that. Then I went with Aerodynamics Expert, which increases maneuverability in all axes by 2%. Remember that even though this aircraft has very high maneuverability in horizontal turns, there's more maneuvering than just horizontal turns. I also went with fire resistance, which decreases fire duration and damage by 20%, and I had an extra skill point, so I just threw it into Eagle-Eyed, which increases the range at which we can see or detect enemy aircraft by 10%. Kind of get the jump on them. Alright, so again you have the three little tabs here. You have the specifications and some new features there. I love the better specifications they're now providing. That was definitely a good change. You can see here they now have the cumulative damage that the forward-firing weapons on this aircraft do all collectively considered, which previously I had to calculate that manually. You may recall I would put that into my aircraft comparison chart. Now it provides that information for you, which is awesome. And the other good thing is that when you click on other aircraft and you go to aircraft details, whereas before you could not expand these specifications, now you can. Now you can actually compare the cumulative damage of these aircraft. Before you couldn't do that. So that's another awesome change in update 2.0.5, which I really like. The other good thing here in terms of, I mean, there are a lot of good new stats, but one in particular that I like is with regard to altitude performance. Previously it showed the optimum altitude, which is for this aircraft is 1100 meters, but now it also shows the service ceiling, which is 3100 meters. So now you know if you're going above 3100 meters, you're going to have some serious problems, you know, with your aircraft maneuvering and stalling out and etc. So that is a terrific thing that has been added in update 2.0.5. It also shows you increased effectiveness of your equipment that it will have on your aircraft, and this is equipment that affects the battle throughout, not just, you know, like if you were to use a consumable, it won't show that because that's situational, but anything that will affect the aircraft's specifications throughout the battle, it shows that, which is just fantastic. And then of course there's also the kind of summary page, which is fantastic too because it shows your modules, it shows your pilot crew skills, it shows your equipment, your consumables, and it shows your paint schemes, which previously it didn't show. So some great interface changes that I really like. And while I was very concerned about these new changes with the equipment and consumables, I'm kind of getting used to it, and it, you know, some of my concerns have been allayed, so that's good, I guess. Well, let's head into a battle and see how the Yak-3 performs the current upgrade situation. Okay, so we'll be fighting post 2.0.5 and the Yak-3 over the Albion trump card theater of operation. Let's see here, we will, it's kind of an awkward position from this side. I think we'll head to the airfield and then take on one of the two command centers after securing the airfield. Hopefully, that's the plan anyway.
Pilots, get ready for action. Let's go.
Can't do anything at the plants. No air defense aircraft. This is definitely a low altitude aircraft, so 1100 meters is our optimum altitude. Looks like the enemy team wants the airfield as well. Got an aircraft here on our friendly, so we'll see if we can't help it. And we've got a enemy on our tail, so we've got a break off there. fighter up here. A7M. Very maneuverable aircraft.
Be advised, the enemy is concentrating forces near the airfield. Attention all fighters. Enemy bombers detected. Destroy them.
Clear out the fighters first, and then we'll head down and take on the ground attack aircraft. It's P-51. Alright, down here, so we might as well address this ground attack aircraft. There we go. E7M again. We've got a low health fighter here. Let's see if we can take it out. And then we've got a little cadre of enemy aircraft here. Taking some aircraft fire here. And we've got our pilot injured. Fortunately, we have that skill that allows us to get our pilot back up to speed. Ah. Meteor got on us there. Okay, so we'll head back into the airfield here. Keep fighting to preserve that asset. Call in for some help here. Got a lot of enemy assets here. Multi-role and a heavy fighter here. I'd like to address the multi-role first. A heavy fighter's on one of our fighters, so we'll see what we can do to help it out. Our friendly out. F7F, beautiful aircraft. Very powerful. Close call there, almost got rammed. Man, that meteor, need to watch out for it. And unfortunately, our team is not doing very well here. Come on, team. Pull it together.
Receiving reports about
Boy, I wish they'd get that battle
deteriorating
button
weather
fixed.
conditions. Support will be unable to reach you. Do you read me? Over.
So I'm going to head back to the airfield. And we need to watch for that meteor. About 30 seconds. There it is. On the squall line. It would be nice if we could take it out after the squall line, so we don't have to deal with it anymore.
Step it up. We're losing the battle.
Okay, there we go.
Unable to proceed.
Got it.
Turn into
After
base.
the squall
Do
line.
you
Now
copy?
hopefully we won't have to deal with it anymore. If you've got an enemy aircraft pilot like that that is really scoring up the hits and is really making a difference for a team, if you can take them out after the squall line and wait until then, that's the best strategy. Get out of this anti-aircraft here. Alright.
Turn back. The enemy force is too strong.
Well, unfortunately a defeat for the team, but good performance there with our Yak-3. Let's head back to the hangar and take a look at the after action report. Okay, so 14 kills, over 3,100 in damage to aerial targets, 2 assists, 2 sectors captured. So you did get the Avenger accolades, so one of the 2 times we were shot down, we did in turn, well actually I guess it's we shot down that meteor. I think the meteor pilot shot us down both times and then we got him after the squall line. Take a look at the summary here. Flying start, effective fire, subjugator, #1 rank on the team, and 3 chevrons on the grade result. Over 100,000 in currency, even though it was a loss. Over 4,400 in experience points, 223 in free experience. And that was with a loss, so not too bad. 13,000 in combat points. And you see the opposite #1 was Shepsboy 312. Had a good match. Over 19,000 combat points on the winning team. And again, that was the meteor we shot down after the squall line. Alright, so like I said, a good result there for the Yak-3. Unfortunately, it wasn't a win. Now, there are kind of 2 ramifications of not winning. #1, if you win, your minions go out to the battlefield and they pick up spare parts from the planes that you shot down. You don't get that when it comes to losing. So I don't think you do. Yeah, I don't think they get spare parts if you don't win. And we didn't get any credit in terms of our march towards the specialty. We don't get credits for the planes we shot down. Okay, but that is a post 2.0.5 look at the new interface, which has a lot of great features. I must say I really like the new interface and all the information that's provided and capability of it. And I'm getting used to the new formatting with equipment and consumables. Makes a lot more sense than perhaps when you were just looking at the patch notes. Don't know what was wrong with the old system, but you know, I suppose it's because they want to give people something to strive for. So someone like me, who had every plane in the game researched, and with elite status, now I have something that I have to still grind for. Yay! But anyway, there you have it, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope it's been informative. And if you fly the Yak-3, then I hope you have great success in it.